Okay, if you can't, stand up and say, shout louder. And we can use a mic if we have to, but I find mics kind of oddly inhibiting. And this kind of thing is more fun if we just kind of do it off the cuff. I think it really scares him, and that's half the fun.
I don't like doing things, off the cuff. I'm a planner, a plotter, the person who sits behind the scenes, pulling the strings. She just likes to jump out in front and say, ta-da.
So Mike says, hey, look, we're doing the Mike and Patty show tomorrow. We should plan. I said, no. That's no fun.
Although, hey, I did notice one cool thing. Speaking of, they'll never take us alive. I did notice one thing about traveling to Canada that I hadn't thought about. We were looking at coming up to Canada, and I usually keep a little survival kit in the back of the car that's got, it's got, a little tent and some freeze-dried rations and a first aid kit that's big enough to service the Titanic, all the usual stuff. And then it's got a little AR-15 buried in it, and rampaging armies attack. It's America after all.
2 o'clock in the morning before we're headed out here, Mike elbows me, remind me, I need to get the survival kit out of the car.
I was going, I don't want to explain to the nice Mounties that no, this is normal in America. We all travel armed everywhere.
Oh, you rock. You rock.
And how much nicer it is not to be worried about all of you pointing guns my way when you do something stupid.
So these are our gripes to you
to
make Mike feel better. Yes, we do, because Anne is awesome and wonderful. Anne, wave your hand.
You should have brought bigger
This
bribes.
is Sparky. She's my sanity. Here. Mike's my brains. Anne's my sanity. Okay, so we have prizes and presents. These are brand new.
How are you going to award for what?
For asking good questions.
Or
asking really bad questions. whatever we suitably do. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start this. I don't know.
We didn't
every
start
convention.
Perplexed.
That's not true. Every convention has different conventions, and they never tell the speakers what those conventions are, about when you start panels and when you stop panels. So I'm assuming, did the last panel stop right at the hour?
No, 10 minutes before.
10 minutes too. Okay, thank you. That way we are not rude.
So we will bore you for only 50 minutes. That's the good news. You've got 10 minutes of non-boring stuff at the very end.
Okay. I'm Patty Briggs, and if you were here to see somebody else, you're in the wrong room. And this is my husband, Mike, and we have been married as of the end of this month. We've been married 28 years. And he hasn't killed me yet, and I haven't killed him. So
he almost did when you first met.
That's true. I convinced him that I was a serial killer. On the first date. So here it goes.
Wow.
We'll start here.
Right
we're up and starting. I've always been a storyteller, and I had two cohorts that ran through junior high and high school with me, and they would encourage me greatly, and they knew how to play. They weren't really storytellers, but they knew how to once I started a story, they would act it out. I was in high school, and in Butte, Montana, the college there, Montana School of Mines, it's now MSU Tech or Montana Tech. It changes names, but essentially it's a geological.
It's an excellent little mining school, and I was very successful academically, but I was not much of a ladies' man in my youth, sadly, to my infinite chagrin. And so I had come up with this wonderful plan where I was going to be an exploratory geophysicist, tour the world, make fantastic money, live 2 weeks in one mining camp and 2 weeks in another, and I was done with women at the ripe old age of 19. They're just impossible. So that's the setup.
Okay. Montana Tech has a really bad reputation in Butte because there are no women in Montana Tech.
Well, who wants to be a mining engineer?
Right. So all the guys come down to the high school and date the high school girls.
It's true.
Right. One of my cohort friends was in speech. Speech debate team, and they travel around, and she had a speech debate team boyfriend who was in another team in another town.
You're making a story very
well,
long.
it's okay, it has to go this way. So sorry.
I'm a novelist. It has to go this way. She's a novelist, not a short story.
All right, because the setup is really fun. So she had this boyfriend that she dated only on the weekends when there was speech team tournaments, and she loved it. It was really fun. All the benefits of a boyfriend and none of the downsides, right? And his name was Kelly Briggs. And I told her she couldn't marry him because her name was Ruthie. So Ruthie Briggs just doesn't work, right? Then he decided to go to school at Montana Tech. He was a year older than she was. So I get this frantic call, like towards the end, because the tech starts about a month before the high school does. Frantic call, oh my gosh, he's decided to go to Montana Tech and he thinks that we are really dating and serious. So she said, you have to come, he wants me to come up there, you have to come with me. And I was working, I couldn't do it. So my other cohort, Colleen, went up with her. And as it turns out, Colleen is a very good cohort. Her orders were to stay next to Ruthie and not let Kelly get her away from Ruth at any cost, so that the guy and girl were never together at the same time.
Has anyone noticed that in the world of dating, when women have a wingman, the wingman's job is to stay close and never deviate. When men have a wingman, their object is to split, divide, and conquer.
So Kelly was not a dumb guy, and he saw what happened the first time. He asked her to come up again. She's not, she went, as a high school girl, she doesn't gutsy enough to say, look, it was fine, we're over, because she didn't want to hurt his feelings. So she again brought Colleen as a wingman, and Kelly, being a smart young man, grabbed Mike as his wingman.
And my orders were explicit. Divide and conquer. Split off the wingman. Buy me some time. Lay down covering fire.
So much awkwardness ensued, and they talked and talked and talked, and the upshot was, they would ask, because you have to talk to the wingman, because that's, even though everybody knows what the plan is, you have to pretend you don't know what the plan is, right? Because you're kids, and so they would ask Mike, what do you like to do, and he would tell them, and they would say, oh, Patty likes that. And
there's this conversation is going on for an hour or two, and there's a mysterious third party, Patricia. Every time we talk about anything, books, hiking, whatever, it's the both girls in chorus are like, oh, you would love our friend Patricia. She's just like you.
So
and what I'm thinking is, Patricia is obviously a homeless fat chick.
And I may be now, but yeah.
So there's obviously a homely fat chick that they need a date for, and I'm supposed to agree to a blind date and get signed up for this, and I'm not that stupid. So I figure the easiest way to put this problem to bed is to just say, sure, let's go meet her.
Okay, so they head down to my house. Now, my parents have been gone for 2.5 weeks on a long, extended trip. You can imagine what the house looks like left to a teenage girl. My job that summer was to basically run around.
You're going to get the entire hour.
I know,
right?
Basically run around with this, yeah, I know, right? Run around with this 9-year-old girl because both of her parents had worked. It wasn't really a babysitting job because she...
Next thing you know, we'll be hearing about the carpet stains and the...
Okay. So, anyway, I had her over there while I was trying to clean my house because my parents were due home, and the house, literally, you could not walk from the living room into the bathroom. That's
her housekeeping skills are much the same.
Yes.
On his list?
Absolutely. I have a feeling his list is going to get really long before this hour is over. And my assistant, one of her jobs is to keep the list of Mike's transgressions.
Volumes 1 through 26.
Yes.
It is
Available for, I'm not smart enough to write books, but apparently with Anne's help, I'm going to publish a large encyclopedic volume, The Transgressions of Mike.
Well, I'm sending it to Sienna.
But unfortunately, he's really cool, and he keeps doing these cool things. We have to erase parts, so we never get beyond like page 2 or 3, unless he's really on a roll. So anyway, so they come down, and they come down, and I meet Mike, and I go, oh, he's really cute, and I have this mess of a house, and I have this almost teenage girl I'm watching, and then my parents show up. And I know he's really cool because he introduces himself to my parents while I'm running around like chicken my head cut off. My dad is extremely crabby because he's tired and the house is a mess. And Mike's carrying luggage in for them. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh, that is neat. A teenager you don't have to force to work, right? But anyway, I pulled Ruthie aside and I said, that's very nice of you. He's really cute, but get out of here, please.
And for my part, what I was expecting to be the homely bookish chick, well, okay, bookish is still true, but she was at that point in time like 117 pounds of whipcord and rawhide. She was training. Okay, she was.
I have to get that straight, right?
Yeah. That extra few pounds makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
And she'd been training Mustangs and breaking horses, and so she was not at all what I was expecting. Rather a vision of loveliness.
So anyway, after all hoopla was over at my house, I felt really guilty because here these nice people come to say hi to me. They've been here for about 2 minutes, and I'd shut them off. So I called them back up. I called Ruthie up, and she had long since left them. And I said, how about we go out tonight, have a picnic at the reservoir, Butte, Montana.
This is the longest
It
version of the
is.
story
I
I've
know,
ever
right?
heard.
The reservoir is about, except that when you were in it, right? The reservoir